Mary fuck killed January 6th, 9/11, and Watergate.
Why?
I have my firm answer.
Mary Watergate.
Yeah, totally Mary Watergate.
It's of the three, by far the sexiest scandal.
Exactly. It's sexy. It feels expensive.
Yes. It
Yeah.
involves a hotel.
Yes.
And it is about documents.
Right.
Nobody died.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to marry Watergate.
Fuck January 6th.
Yes.
And kill 9/11.
Yeah, that seems like that's the obvious answer.
All the comments were not that.
Really?
All responses are wrong.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we can get into that more when we're done with the show. By the way, this will remain on the show.
In 2022, two writers came together to finish what Universal Studios couldn't. A cinematic universe of monster movies called The Dark Universe. After 3 years and 30 scripts, their project was finally completed. Now, in 2025, they're back to attempt what's never been done before. A completely original cinematic universe entirely in podcast form. I'm Dalton DeShane.
And I'm Dylan Roth.
And you are now entering the Pod Universe.
Welcome back to the Pod Universe, the podcast where we attempt to create an all-original sci-fi cinematic universe, one pitch at a time. I am your mysterious man in gray, Dalton DeShane.
And I am your complete open book, just completely unenigmatic, boring, frankly, host. You can ask me anything, Dylan Roth.
And we are here with part 2 of Los Alamos. If you are joining us here for the first time, go back at least one episode.
Yeah,
we're going to be picking up in the middle.
Story.
In the middle of a movie, but it is a standalone movie, so you can start one episode ago. If you're watching the video feed, you will have noticed that we have added a bowl of Halloween candy here because...
That's right, because Dalton did not tell us that the candy was available until the break when Sarah asked about the candy.
Well, so first of all, Sarah already knew the candy was there.
Okay.
Second of all...
Yeah, but I've chosen to be mad at you.
Second of all, I meant to tell you about it several times, but when we are between recording things, it can be hard to get a word in edgewise. You were talking about something.
Oh, okay. Well,
you're talking about something.
How many? All right. So
This is
Dalton,
shots
and Dalton, you and I talk just on the air.
Yeah.
90 minutes at a time every week. Sarah and I don't get as much catch-up time.
That's
Dalton.
true.
This
But
was us catching up.
I came in and I was like, I need to tell Dylan about the candy. I was like, he's in the middle of something. I'll get to it afterwards. And then we're recording.
We were in the middle of something. Okay, this wasn't just me yapping.
Yeah.
We were talking about Sarah's history with ballet. Okay.
This time is when we brought the candy.
Well, thank you.
Now we have candy.
Thank
What
you
were
for
we
the
talking
candy.
about last time? I'm pretty sure last time I was
remember.
sleeping.
Yeah, you've been napping.
That one I might have just been
because the other thing is today is November 1st.
As we record this, we are all having our little Halloween hangover.
Yeah, last night Sarah and I were out very late at a Halloween party and then started recording bright and early.
And I had this. As I described it earlier to Sarah, this is the first time that my son and I were trick or treating when my son knew that that's what we were doing. This is his second Halloween, his third Halloween. I'm sorry. Yes, his third Halloween. And we went out trick-or-treating in the neighborhood. But I am tired because the World Series did not end last night. And it was a very exciting game. And now we have to go to Game 7 that we'll be watching tonight.
And the World Series, which did not end.
So here we are to talk about Los Alamos. We are halfway through Dalton's sci-fi period sci-fi thriller.
Who knows?
Yeah, I'm not sure how the adjectives work on there. Yes.
The triple threat.
A complicated film, you might say. An intriguing venture where Dalton has set up a story taking place in the Manhattan Project following a fictional scientist in the very real experiment that generated the atomic bomb.
Yes.
This character, Dr. Adrien Barnier, has decided he is going to sabotage the project to try and prevent the nuclear bomb from ever being dropped on anybody.
Yeah, he is going a step beyond what any of the actual Soviet spies did. He is saying he is not just sharing information with the Soviets. He wants to destroy the Trinity test before it happens. But as soon as he makes that decision, he is taken away by the OSS, the precursor to the CIA.
Mm-hmm.
He has also been getting visited by a mysterious man in a gray suit named Alano Bright, played by Mark Rylance, who is giving him warnings and saying he cannot change the future and that if he continues to try, he will die. And so we will find out how that shakes out.
Yeah,
here
I'm not
in this
optimistic.
episode.
I'm going to be honest. I don't. You've done a good job at making it seem very doomed.
You think I like to just like kill characters and stuff?
Yeah, you know what, Dalton? It's not like you to be so cruel to your characters, but I think this time you might go for it. Is there any further recap you think that we need? Or I think that we summed it up pretty well here.
Basically, he has a romance blooming with Dr. Lorna Calvert, played by Kirsten Dunst, who is another physicist on the project, who is notably white and married.
Yes. So
as the Weird Al Yankovic parody of Ride and Dirty went.
And our lead, Dr. Adrien Barnier, is a black man from from Europe.
Played by Jacob Anderson. And look, we didn't shout him out last time. Love Jacob Anderson from Interview with the Vampire, the incredible series, and also Game of Thrones. He played Grey Worm. Yeah, his name was Grey Worm in Game of Thrones.
Okay, well,
that feels like just blatant ripoff of Grima Worm Tongue.
Yeah,
it does.
Grey Worm, Grima
I am
Worm.
shocked to hear that another high fantasy story is cribbing from Tolkien. I didn't
How
think
could this
that
have happened?
I didn't think that was allowed.
He's also apparently a soul and trip hop musician.
Oh, that's a cool
under
combination.
the name Raleigh Ritchie, named after his favorite characters from the Royal Tenenbaums.
Well, wow. He seems pretty cool. Let's get him on the show.
He rocks. Jacob Anderson, come on the show.
Let's put one of his songs on the soundtrack.
You are a wonderful actor, and I assume a wonderful musician as well. I have not heard it.
We shouldn't assume that. Sometimes that's not how it goes. Do you want me to throw on the Bruce Willis album? Do you want me to throw on the William Shatner album?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, The Transformed Man. We're going to put a link to the YouTube link right here on the YouTube version of the show. You can go and put on Shatner's unforgettable rendition of Mr. Tambourine Man, and then return to our show.
I suppose we don't have. We talked about part one, so I guess we can just dive right in, unless we have any more preamble we want to do.
No, let's go right in.
All right. Act 2. Part 2. Fade in on a completely empty, windowless, wood-paneled room. Adrien sits in a chair, receded into his own mind, waiting for something to happen. And then it does. James Calvert tears the door open and marches across the room.
Make time with my goddamn wife, will you?
He decks Adrien in the jaw. Adrien doesn't fight back, just spits blood onto the floor. So I guess we won't be co-authoring that paper together.
If I ever catch you so much as looking at her...
Relax, James. She's just been helping me with some experiments regarding internal combustion. He grins at James with bloody teeth.
I'm gonna kill you. You deserve the death penalty. I just want to be clear.
For the internal combustion?
Yeah, you deserve the death penalty.
Calvert rears to strike him again.
Oh, you uppity. That's enough, Dr. Calvert.
Terrence Wakeford walks calmly into the room, carrying a black medical bag.
You can go back to your work now.
James is still frozen, ready to strike, seething at Adrien.
We appreciate the tip, Doc, but your country needs you elsewhere. The OSS can handle it from here.
Once he's gone, Wakeford raises his eyebrows at Adrien.
You really pissed in his cornflakes, son.
He digs in his bag and hands Adrien a hanky to wipe up the blood.
Speaking of that wife of his, what have you been doing with her? Because if it's what you just implied, well, you ought to count yourself lucky you're surrounded by a lot of enlightened men. Because in this part of the country, they'd string you right up for something like that.
We're co-workers. We're in the same rooms, working on the same bomb. I didn't realize Grove's notion of compartmentalization included racial segregation. This makes Wakeford laugh. He's still looking through his bag. He quickly becomes serious.
You know, we found out she has ties to the Communist Party.
Sounds serious. You should ask her about that. Wakeford stands and whips around, smacking Adrien in the chest with a hard wooden baton. Adrien grunts, the wind knocked out of him, and tries to raise his hands in defense. Wakeford is ready, grabbing his wrists and pulling them behind the chair, where he cuffs them to the seat back. Wakeford pants and regains his composure. He now wears a pair of black leather gloves. He smacks the baton into one leather palm.
Grove said you were a smartass. All you scientists are alike. You think your big brains will keep you running circles around grunts like me. But this is war, son. And at the end of the day, what matters is force, strength.
He whaps the baton into Adrien's gut.
Pain. See, you missed a key variable in your calculations, Frenchie. Nobody cares what happens to you. You're not American, you have no legal protections, and you're a Negro, which means no one will stick up for you.
He leans in close to Adrien.
Because nobody wants you here. They'd be happy to hear you just disappeared.
He stands back up.
And I'd be happy to make that happen. So I'm going to ask you some questions. And if your answers are not satisfactory, I'll put you on the next plane to Paris so you can go back to your little job at the cigarette smoking factory. Then you're Hitler's problem. Let him figure out what to do with you.
Adrien takes painful, wheezing breaths.
What were you doing in Santa Fe today?
I went to meet a former student of mine. I've been tutoring her in physics on the weekends.
And she was your former student at?
Oxford. I've been teaching there since we fled Paris.
And now she just happens to be attending the University of New Mexico.
Adrien nods weakly.
And what is this student's name?
Madeline Mackenzie.
Would it surprise you to hear that Madeline Mackenzie is a cousin of Ms. Lorna Calvert?
No.
The coincidences keep piling up, Frenchie.
He taps the baton on Adrien's shoulders, making him flinch.
Would it surprise you to hear that Ms. Mackenzie was expelled from the university last night?
What? Why?
Anonymous tip came in that she was holding onto some classified documents. By the time we got to her, she had gotten rid of them, but the dean thought it best not to take risks with the university's reputation. She was put on the first train back to Ohio this morning. You seem to be spending a lot of time with communists, Frenchie.
I told Groves I belong to no party.
And yet today we find you at the meeting place for the campus commons.
I was looking for a boy named Corey. I knew he was a friend of Maddie's. I was just trying to find her.
How long have you been feeding him information about the project?
What? I haven't been feeding anyone. Wakeford cracks him in the ribs with the baton. He shouts.
What information have you given them about the bomb?
I was seeing my student. Crack. This one knocks the wind clean out of him. He gasps for air, swaying in his seat, his mind working behind his dazed eyes. Finally, he lifts his head. You're pulling your punches. Wakeford laughs incredulously.
Oh, am I?
He whaps Adrien again in the stomach and immediately leans into his face.
Does that feel like I'm pulling my fucking punches?
Adrien wheezes until he can finally speak again. You can't hit me where the bruises would show. But you also can't crack a rib or cause any internal bleeding.
Is that so?
Adrien nods, building more strength. The fat man isn't built yet. They still need me. They can't afford to have me recovering in a hospital, not with the timeline Groves has been given. You think a dunce like Calvert can stabilize that core? Or Fuchs? You're gonna need a lot more than coincidence to pull me away from this project.
You got quite the ego, don't you, Frenchie?
This is war, Terrence. At the end of the day, it's not strength that matters. It's intelligence. Wakeford snarls and cracks him one more time in the chest. Then, while Adrien is still gasping, Wakeford unlatches the cuffs.
Get the hell out of my sight!
Adrien gets shakily to his feet, and Wakeford throws the chair across the room.
And Frenchie, you better watch your ass.
Cut to outside. Adrien staggers out of the old building into Los Alamos proper, holding his bruised ribs. Leaning against a lamppost, waiting for him, is Alano Bright. As he gets closer, Alano takes out a pack of cigarettes and offers it to him. Adrien takes it and lights one. They stand together in silence for a minute or so, smoking, Adrien deeply enjoying every drag, coughing every so often from the pain in his chest. Finally, Adrien blows out a plume and says, "Okay, let's talk." Alano leads Adrien across the town toward a horse stable. Where are we going?
To take a tour of the mesa.
The stables are manned by a single ranch hand sitting half asleep next to the gate. We're not allowed to take those horses. Alano pays no mind, even as the rancher stands and heads toward them.
Hey now, where are you boys headed?
Alano reaches into his pocket and pulls out the metal switch we saw in Act 1. He flips it, and suddenly the rancher doubles. He walks toward them, while at the same time another version of him sits half asleep by the gate. Gradually the walking one fades, and only the sleeping one exists. He sees them again.
Hey now, where are you boys headed?
Alano flips the switch again. The rancher doubles, then resets. Adrien watches, fascinated, while Alano climbs up onto a horse, then resets the man again.
Come on now.
Adrien climbs up on his own horse. What was that? How did you do that?
The first thing you need to understand is that time is a path between 2 points, just like a road through a desert. I merely walked us back a few paces, then as we slid forward, I walked us back again.
Can you stop on the path? Stay where you are instead of sliding forward?
Not without significant friction.
Cut to the two of them riding across the mesa. They stop at the edge of a cliff. In the open desert below, work is happening on a tall metal tower, just like the one Adrien saw in his dream. Alano gets down from his horse, and Adrien follows.
Whenever I come back to this era, what strikes me the most is all the building. You're obsessed with it. Bridges, roads, bombs, skyscrapers, all of it useless. Dandelions in the breeze.
This is just a test. This bomb won't destroy anything.
Of course it will.
Alano points into the distance.
50 miles from here, there's a girls' camp. Hours after detonation, fallout will begin to rain on the campsite. They will go out and frolic in it, thinking it to be snow. It will irradiate their cells, beginning a mutation process that will last years. Only one of them will live past 30. They will be, arguably, the first victims of nuclear fission. But it won't stop there. The test will be a success. Your implosion model will work precisely as designed. 21 days later, the gun-type uranium bomb, so-called Little Boy, will be dropped on Hiroshima, Japan. Its effects will kill over 100,000 people, almost all of them non-combatants. 3 days later, the Fat Man, the plutonium implosion bomb, your bomb, will be dropped on Nagasaki, killing between 60 and 80,000. There is nothing you can do to stop this. It will come to pass. It is best if you start preparing for it now, and stop putting your life in danger.
Adrien shakes his head. I don't believe you. The desert is big. I can redirect the road, take a diverging path away from that. Alano sighs and takes out his metal switch.
Turn around, and I will show you why you cannot.
They both face the desert, away from the cliff.
Observe.
Alano flips the switch, and suddenly another image is overlaid on top of the desert. It's of a college lecture hall, another Adrien standing in front of the class. What goes up must come down. Every child on Earth knows this to be true. This setting and the desert seem to coexist, both at once on top of each other. Adrien reels from the vertigo. What is this?
This is last summer. In the middle of this lecture, you will notice a man sitting in the back row and realize he has been following you.
Alano flips the switch again, and the overlaid scene changes. It's a small London apartment. The other Adrien sits across from a man in khaki army uniform.
You will go home and find this man waiting for you, and he will offer you a position on a secret Allied project, the Manhattan Project.
Are we there? Did we go back in time?
No. We are simply looking back on the path already walked. And now, let's see the path.
Alano flips the switch again. The figures from the past blur and stretch as they are duplicated infinitely, every movement they make visible at once, all the frames of their existence laid out on top of each other. Their paths into and out of the room are laid out, an extended motion blur, a long exposure photograph. Adrien reaches out to touch the path of his former self, and realizes he's leaving a new motion blur in his wake. He turns to see himself, his path from the edge of the cliff, getting down from the horse galloping across the desert. It's all rendered before him. Wow. Alano walks to the Adrien sitting in his apartment.
Answer me this. What happens to you if this Adrien chooses not to participate in the project?
I would be somewhere else. London, I suppose.
But you're not somewhere else. You're here. What happens to you?
I would cease to exist.
But you do exist. I'm speaking to you right now.
Okay, so the timeline branches. A parallel universe is created.
A strong theory. Unfortunately, impossible. that is not how this universe functions.
Adrien opens his mouth to argue, but Alano interrupts.
You'll simply have to take my word for that.
Okay, so... Adrien circles his past self, passing through the blur of his own motion. He can't. In order for me to exist here, now, there's only one choice he can make. Alano nods.
Our universe is unique. It branched off of another one further down the path. Let's say, for example...
He touches a duplicate of Adrien that's just behind him, where he was just a second ago. That duplicate glows with a yellow halo of light.
This is where your universe begins to exist, and this...
He taps the past Adrien sitting in the chair. He also glows.
...is where you are now. As you said, this Adrien can't change anything, or else that one ceases to exist. But your entire universe doesn't exist until then, meaning this path is already locked. It must lead to the point of its own creation.
You're saying I have no free will?
Of course you do. You're free to make any decisions you want. You will have simply always made those decisions.
Adrien paces, each movement etched into existence behind him. He thinks. After a moment, he points at the Adrien in the chair. What if he decides to give the bird to the general? Alano smiles.
Continue.
Ultimately, he still decides to join. I still exist here in this moment, but still, it's a deviation. Which means that not every movement is locked in place. It's about the gravity of the choice. There's a threshold.
I'm impressed, Doctor.
Which means we have to consider scale. Right now, we're zoomed in on me, on the span of a year, but time is endless. My whole life could come and go and not even amount to the raising of a middle finger. He stops and looks at Alano. So why does this matter? Why are you here? Alano flips the switch again, and all the overlays disappear. They're standing in the empty desert again.
The bomb, Doctor. In the brief moment that humanity exists on this earth, few events are as monumental as this. From the first moment that the idea of a nuclear chain reaction occurred to you, a series of events were set into motion. The bomb was launched, and now its fate is to detonate.
And what happens then?
You know the answer to that, Doctor. You know in your heart the true inevitability of the bomb.
The end of humanity. Nuclear holocaust. Alano nods. No, wait. It's not inevitable. If it was, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't need to convince me to stop if there was truly no chance of my success.
Oh, you may succeed, Adrien. You could prevent this test. But nothing you do will stop the bomb from dropping. Your efforts will amount to, as you said, nothing more than a raised middle finger.
200,000 civilian lives saved is more than a middle finger.
From your perspective, but ultimately their fates will be the same. You must ask yourself, Doctor, what does one life matter in the face of extinction?
He steps forward and puts a hand on Adrien's shoulder.
I told you I was a friend. I am. I'm here to prevent you from wasting your life on futility. They already have you cornered. They've threatened you, beaten you. I know it may not feel like it, but I am the only one you can trust right now.
No. I can trust Lorna.
Can you? Tell me, Adrien, did you ever wonder why you're the one making the drops?
She can't risk it. Because of James.
Perhaps. But she gets leave time just like you. Wouldn't it make sense for her to be visiting her cousin? More sense than you, surely.
Adrien is quiet.
Or perhaps she thought she might protect herself by sending out someone who already had a target on his back. Someone vulnerable. Someone whose word would always be taken as less trustworthy than her own.
No.
My apologies, Doctor. I've given you too much to ponder.
He hops back up on his horse.
I trust you'll come to the most scientific conclusion.
Speaking of too much to ponder, do we want to stop and talk about this scene, or
there's a lot
going
on
two?
here? No, we can talk about it. Let's talk about the time travel mechanics.
Yes, here's where I lay out.
Because by the time we get to the end of Act 2, there's going to be more stuff to talk about.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
All right, so you and I in our in a previous episode for my script for Last Flight of the Stone Hammer.
Yeah.
Where I made concrete some stuff that had been ambiguous about the nature of the pod universe.
Yes.
You
I'm gonna
were
eat a
worried.
Crunch bar.
Oh yeah. Well, when you're talking, when you're answering my questions, I'm going to eat a Crunch bar. We are professional broadcasters. You had concerns that what I had done was going to be problematic for the nature of the universe as you needed it to be in this story. Did you end up having to change anything?
No.
Good. That's good. Because I think that this is cool. First of all, let's talk about the basics. The visual language that you are employing here to deal with time travel and realities, I think would look great. I think that like it's the kind of thing where like obviously on the page we're trying to evoke images that people can put in their heads that, you know, because we're not writing novels or writing movies, they often have some kind of parallel to something we could like. I know I've seen something kind of like it in the past, right?
It's kind of in Donnie Darko in a way.
Well, I mean, Donnie Darko, you have those liquid sort of
the
path
liquid
things.
kind of
Here
path
I'm thinking about the cool thing of like imagining that each person is moving. It's kind of like if you had a malfunctioning computer in the 90s and you dragged the window around,
exactly.
it's leaving copies
that's
of the window
exactly
behind.
what it's doing.
Yeah, that seems very cool. It's giving me a little bit of a Doctor Strangey vibe in terms of that, but there's lots of things throughout the history of science fiction that have a similar
And it's
kind
something
of
I think Spielberg would have fun
Oh,
with.
for sure he would, right?
Staging and mapping it out.
What I mean to say is that it's something that I think that could be easily understood by a viewer watching it happen. They would get it right away. I think that that's cool. And we're talking about it's just sort of a Star Trek time travel-y rules type thing.
Okay.
Where we're talking about, or I guess more like Doctor Who, where there are little things that can change, but big things have to, like, important nexus points in time.
Yeah.
If I were going to be a real pedant about, like, you and I had a conversation during the writing of Pod People where I went on a little bit of a rant about how there was some point where we talked about how we wanted there to be a kind of decay that would happen to a person when they like encounter their double. Yeah. And I'm like, well, that would mean that matter that belongs to a person has some inherent unique quality that makes it a person, which basically means we have to decide that human beings are magic.
Yeah.
And I nixed that right away because I felt like that was counter to some of the stuff that I wanted to do with this. We're kind of doing that thing where we're allowing for different rules to apply to shit that we think is important versus the shit that we don't think is important. But you've set up the whole gravity thing. You spent some time on that early on in the script with Adrien's monologue to his student,
which was cut.
Madeline.
So in
that's right.
In the director's cut, Adrien gives it. That's all the stuff he says about what goes up must come down.
Yeah.
There's a monologue he gives to Maddie that was cut. That's about gravity and how, as much as you try to get away from it, it always pulls you back in.
Yes, and you also see something there that maybe will become important in this, although I imagine if it did, you probably wouldn't have cut it from the script, of the nature of escape velocity.
Yeah.
Of you can reach a distance from something, with enough force, you can reach a distance from a gravity well that will help, that will mean that you escape it. Now, you also there have the idea that, but if you travel far enough, you might run into another gravitational force.
Yes.
That all feels like it's tying very closely into this. You actually make the connection explicit in dialogue that we're talking about gravity. I'll buy that, right? I'm not gonna. First of all, it's in the script. It's canon. That's how it works now. You have established the time travel rules of our world.
Let me say this: Alano has established time travel rules to Adrien. We don't know anything about Alano's trustworthiness.
Okay, fair enough. But I think that you've managed to, whenever you're doing a time travel story, you have kind of choices about how you want to do it, because since time travel is not real, you don't have to stick with it exactly. But we are trying to establish rules that are somewhat physically possible.
Yeah, and time travel always has, it is a recipe for disaster, especially when it comes to narratives. I don't want things to be like the X-Men, where we are constantly traveling back and forth in time.
Right.
And some things matter and some things don't.
Well,
and
X-Men has the problem of that started, its formative time travel story was supposed to be a time travel story, Days of Future Past. And Days of Future Past was such a popular idea, and they then had to retcon it to being, it's actually an alternate universe, so we can go back.
Yeah.
Even though we averted that future, now we still have to have that future so we can pull characters from it.
And now it's all alternate universes and timelines.
That's like half of what X-Men is now, is that. And we are specifically trying not to do comic book sci-fi.
Yeah.
That is like kind of like a big part of our mandate.
Yeah.
it's a little bit TV, right? It's a little bit comic book, in that Adrien can make some small changes to his life, but he can't prevent the bomb. But you've sold me on it. You've created the framework for which you can justify it, and I'm not mad about it.
And notably, I have only set rules for up until the moment this universe is created, right? Because the universe comes into creation in 2020 as a duplicate of another universe, meaning that past must be functionally identical, meaning we arrive at all the same places at that exact moment in time. I think a fun thing for us to explore will be, well, how does time work going forward?
I have some thoughts about that,
and I think we will both have some thoughts about that.
Yes,
but
this is opening doors. It's not closing doors.
But that's where the original idea for this movie came from. When we came up with the idea for the pod universe and how it was created, I was like, oh, well, that leads to some interesting questions about the past. The past would have to be completely identical. Well, what if someone tried to do something different?
Yeah, and you set up the idea that, like, you established that for instance, if this story were in the past of the Prime universe, which would be theoretically identical, right? Then if something were to change, that would create other outcomes. And here it can't do that.
It could. I didn't say for sure that it would.
Right.
But that would be maybe more of a theory that could be where Alano here can just shut it down and be like,
right. We're
this
not
one doesn't
making
work
that
like
explicit, because I think one of the other things that I was particular about is I did not want to build a multiverse based on human decision making.
Yeah. And I didn't want to confirm or deny. So Alano's just like, well, this one doesn't work like that. Yeah. So we can move on.
Yes. So that doesn't contradict anything that we're looking for here. So I find this to be a cool take on a good foundation to build anything time travel. Because if we're doing a long-running sci-fi story, we're going to do some more time travel.
That's the thing. It's like establishing time rules for our universe is really key because it's always fraught. So I wanted to set up something that leaves room for story possibilities, but not too much room that we can get crazy with it and there's no rules and anything goes.
Yeah, kind of like with our two universes, right? We did not create, we split off our main universe from the multiverse, in that from 2020 on, nothing that happens with our characters is generating
new universes
that other stories can take place in, or that we can like pivot to or draw from, or have like a million doppelgangers of whatever.
Yeah.
There are an infinite number of Vincent Estrellas, but only one of them has experienced the plot of Pod People.
Yes.
And it will stay that way for as long as until we come up with a reason not to, because that's how stories work. But yeah, I also, I like that you've complicated the relationship with Lorna. The walls are closing in on him in an interesting way, where he's in a position to keep getting away with it for now.
Yeah.
And I do think that spy stories are more interesting when more people are in the know and having to make decisions about, like, then you get chess game, rather than simply like a binary, I'm in deep shit or I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
It's just a good way to complicate a plot when you have 80 pages to fill.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we can go into the rest of Act 2.
Let's keep rocking.
Back at Los Alamos, Adrien wanders back to his apartment, deep in thought. Lorna comes running up to him.
Adrien, what happened?
I can't be seen with you.
Hey, it's okay.
She steps in front of him and puts her hand on his chest to slow him down. He winces with pain.
Are you okay?
You want to know what happened? He turns to her and unbuttons his shirt, pulling it apart to show deep purple and yellow bruising all over his chest. Courtesy of your husband. He followed me, got me tortured by OSS, probably got Maddie arrested. All because he caught us looking at each other.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry.
You'll what? Take the fall? Divorce him for a black man? What exactly are you willing to do, Lorna?
I don't know.
It's fine. It's over. Maddie's gone. The bomb is finished. It will be tested. It will be dropped. It will end the war, and it will start a new one. There's nothing we can do. Lorna stammers. It's fine, Lorna. You can stop playing super spy. Go home to your boring marriage and sleep soundly knowing you really stuck it to your husband right under his nose. And in true American fashion, you even managed to get your pet Negro whipped at the end of it. Brava, brava. He storms off, but she follows.
Adrien, it's not like that. I care about you.
He whips around. Yeah, well, I loved you. All the while too blind to see that you were using me as a human shield. Well, congrats, Mrs. Calvert. You outsmarted me. A tear falls down her face. Adrien scoffs and leaves. This time, she doesn't follow. Montage. Building the Trinity test bomb. Adrien assists with its assembly, even more withdrawn, his movements automatic, his face resigned. They lift it up to the top of the metal tower, and he helps hook it into place. A voice calls from far away.
Dr. Barnier!
Adrien walks to the edge of the platform and looks down. There's a man standing on the ground below, looking up. For a moment, he thinks it might be Alano Bright. But no, it's someone he doesn't recognize.
They want you down at the post. Something came for you.
Curiosity piqued, Adrien wipes the oil off his hands and heads for the ladder. Adrien enters the Los Alamos post office to find a stern-looking man in army khakis waiting for him, an open letter in his hand.
Dr. Barnier?
Yes? What's this about?
Who is Janelle Lawler?
Adrien slows down, thinking, figuring out what game is being played here. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
And yet she knows to reach you here.
She's a family friend.
Do you know what she might be mailing you about?
Adrien looks at the letter in the postman's hand. He can only see the blank back of it, but the lamplight is bright enough that he can make out the shape of the text on the front side. There seems to be a list in the middle of the page, short figures like numbers at the beginning of each entry. Well, hopefully it's one of her recipes. I've been getting so sick of the mess food here, I practically begged my mother to put out a call for recipes for me. The postman glances down at the letter, then cautiously hands it to Adrien. He scans it. Sure enough, it's a recipe for chocolate chip cookies, signed with the fake name, Janelle Lawler. Adrien looks at the ingredient list. The ingredients are classic cookie ingredients, but the amounts listed stick out to him. They're the same amounts he had written down on the scrap of paper requesting explosive compounds. Under the recipe, Janelle has written, all of these ingredients should be easy for you to find and pick up in Santa Fe. A small smile appears on his face.
Well, is this the recipe you were hoping for?
Oh, yes. He grins at the man. And don't worry, once I get cooking, I'll be sure to make enough for the whole town. End of Act 2.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a nerd from California decided to remake an iconic Japanese film as a space fantasy with a self-insert. And that somehow turned into one of the biggest franchises the world has ever seen. Now, Star Wars surrounds us, binds us, and penetrates us in the landscape of cinema more than he could ever have possibly imagined. Korean cinematographers will go from sensitive lesbian period dramas to an Obi-Wan Kenobi series. The director of a silent film starring the Comanche and Kiowa nations will do the makeup on a Peter Cushing movie. A prolific voice actor will make a one-off appearance in a Lego special. This is 6 Degrees of Star Wars, where host Sam Marchioni embarks on a journey to expand her cinematic horizons while clutching her space fantasy security blanket. So, are you coming? Search for 6 Degrees of Star Wars wherever pods are cast, or visit them at 6dosw.buzzsprout.com. In the URL, that's a 6 with the New Arabic 6, but on the title of the podcast, it is naturally a Roman numeral 6. Bravo to that. Please check out 6 Degrees of Star Wars. Sounds really fun. I always like when people use the monocultural artifacts as an excuse to explore more esoteric stuff. So check that out, folks. And thank you very much to Sam Marchioni for sponsoring the show. And I really hope that I just pronounced your name right. Now back to our show.
So yeah, I guess there wasn't too much more after that time
I guess we
scene.
probably could have waited.
Saved that.
They probably could have waited. But here we are. Now it looks as if, despite sort of resigning himself to being unable to affect change in his world,
he has a renewed fire.
He's got a renewed fire. A new element has been introduced, or I guess reintroduced, that he now has his, his bomb ingredients, and he's going to blow up a bomb differently.
Because the atomic bomb must be blown off a very specific way,
and this
to
will just make
chain
it go
reaction.
kablooey, right?
Yes.
If you say that only a direct hit will start a chain reaction,
I did not say that.
well, we're 1 degree from Star Wars.
Yes.
The blow up with Lorna, I was actually not expecting to happen right away. But I guess more time. No, not exactly. That was the end of the conversation with Alano. So that it felt not rushed. It does seem like I don't think that Adrien has any reason to delay the confrontation.
He's also had a very bad day.
He's had a very bad day.
He's in a bit of a grumpy mood, I
guess
say.
it's just I think that maybe the issue is that we get the information from Alano and then he immediately repeats the information to Lorna. I think that maybe we don't need Alano's explanation of why she can't be trusted. I think that instead we work that into the confrontation.
He can just kind of imply it, and Adrien puts it all together.
He puts that's like kind of our moment to cut, right? When he gets there, then he can be like, "You're her cousin. Why haven't you been making the drops?"
Yeah.
I know why, and it's because so-and-so. I don't think it needs to be explained twice, and I think it's more powerful for their relationship if he confronts her with all these details that Alano has given to him. Because those things are not important to the two of those characters, right? But they are important to Adrien and Lorna. So I think to cut that conversation short.
Yeah, so basically Alano, he says, I can trust Lorna, and he says, are you sure about that? And then we cut.
Yes, and then we can go to that. Unless there's anything else that you really need. The too much to ponder line's really good, so I don't want you to cut that.
That's true.
And you are cooking. Sarah and I have both been talking this. Sarah's been, I don't know how many of these interjections are making it into Final Cut, but Sarah's been like, sometimes, hey, great line, and sometimes, fuck you for that
I'll probably
line.
keep in the fuck you over the internal combustion
pretty
line.
good. But you've got some really good turns of phrase.
You. I think I said, I'm going to kill you.
I think that's what
you deserve to die.
Yeah,
something like that. And I agree. It's so I don't. Maybe you have to find another place for it because it's a really good line, and I also love it in the trailer.
Yeah,
not that everything that's in the trailer needs to be in the final movie. Sometimes it very much doesn't.
I would want to keep that because also when he says, I expect you to come to the most scientific conclusion, that line is going to come back.
Yes, and also that's a good button for his thoughts about Lorna. He can go directly from that. Like, let's let him come to the conclusion. With her, rather than we've already been given the conclusion. Alano comes to the conclusion for him right now. I think for that line to be, we then give him the space to come to the conclusion off screen, and then confront Lorna with it, and that's how the audience gets to put it together.
Yeah, we can have, so how that conversation can go is like, he'll say, no, I can trust Lorna, and he can say, are you sure about that, doctor? And Adrien kind of pauses. And he goes, I've given you too much to ponder. I trust you to come to the scientific conclusion and leave. Yeah.
Yes. I think that would make it feel a little bit less like, oh, we're doing this right now.
Yeah.
Because when you set up something like that, then I think with all that detail, I think that sort of the natural rhythm of it is not to then just do it again right away.
But we would maybe watch it play out more.
I thought that maybe there would be a larger game. We talked about the chess game right now, which any good spy story should have. This part of it, this is not part of the chess game, as it turns out. So I think that it should just be a move rather than a setup and a move.
Yeah, and I think the chess game thing is really apt because Adrien's whole thing is he thinks he can just stay one move ahead of everyone. And now he sort of resigned himself to time. And now the explosives come in. He's like, no, I think I can stay one move ahead of time.
Yeah. I'm curious how this is going to conclude, as we'll be getting to it shortly, but also because, we're at what we kind of, I'm sure everyone feels to an extent that they are in a grand juncture of time, right? Certainly for our country right now, it feels like we are at an enormous inflection point.
Yes.
And I do, and I'm sure a lot of other people often spend time thinking like, what can I possibly do? What kind of change can I possibly affect?
Yeah.
And perhaps some of you out there think, why aren't I building a bomb? Hypothetically, very hypothetically, maybe that's a thought that crosses around some people's minds.
Maybe you're going First Reformed mode.
Maybe you think of the movie First Reformed every day when you wake up in the morning and when you go to bed and anytime you look at your feed and you think, God, shouldn't someone be doing something?
And if you had, so Adrien's basically faced with this choice of like, someone's telling him it won't work, but he has the opportunity to potentially save 200,000 lives.
Yes.
That is a big thing to not attempt.
Yeah. Most of us are just fucking nobody, and we're not. I'm not saying that nobody can't do nothing, because somebody can do something, and you should. But it's but it is like he's in that spot where like he can affect more change in a day than almost anybody can. And it's very rare when the people who can affect that kind of change choose to do it in a positive way. They mostly make bad choices all the time, and we all have to deal with it. Yeah. So the temptation is very strong, and of course, like from our historical perspective, it's interesting. Like I'd be interested to hear how this reads to someone who is, say, not a fucking pinko leftist who maybe thinks the atomic bomb was good.
Yeah.
Are there people who think that the atomic bomb was good? But I have like a very traditionally conservative dad. And even I think he has like nuance to the conversation, but I don't remember ever feeling like he felt like the bomb was good.
I think I don't know if a lot of people who will insist that if we did not drop the atomic bomb, more people would have died in Japan.
Sure.
Yeah. People won't necessarily say like, oh, it's good that we killed those people, but they will say it was necessary to
end the war.
And they believe that talking point of like, well, if we didn't do that, we would have lost just as many people invading Japan.
Yeah. And then there's the larger thing about how important it is as a deterrent. Would war have continued on the scale that it was at? We have not seen a global conflict at the scale of World War II since World War II.
Yes.
I did a lot of research for this. I read a book about Ted Hall. I watched some documentaries, and that included a documentary that's on YouTube that is put out by like the Los Alamos Defense whatever. That's about the Soviet spies. And it was so shockingly, it's like a new documentary. And it was so shockingly jingoistic. Like it basically says, well, these spies are the reason the Korea War happened. And if these people hadn't stolen secrets, then all those people in Korea wouldn't have died.
And they said it in the funniest way possible.
Yeah, they said, they were like, this many million people died in Korea, some of which were American soldiers. And I'm like, what's the ratio there? Can you actually, can you specify?
Throw up those numbers,
Can
please?
we throw up the numbers of how many American soldiers versus Koreans died in the Korean War?
Yeah.
Because I'd be curious for you to make
What's that war called again? I mean, that's what we call it. They call it something else.
Yeah.
But
we killed like what, 60% of the entire population of Korea during that war? I don't know.
I will. If you're watching the YouTube version and you feel like being bummed out, I will put the numbers on the screen.
Yeah, it's an insanely high number.
Yes. So, I mean, but we are in the minority of people who think that war is, that America should do fewer of them.
Yeah.
Because if that weren't the case, people who run for office wouldn't be constantly terrified to suggest the possibility that we not do more war.
Yeah. This script definitely takes less time with like debating whether the bomb is a positive or not. It kind of goes in on the assumption that like, the bomb shouldn't have happened.
I was on the bonus pod most recently. I was talking about one battle after another and how I appreciate it does not spend any time debating whether or not the French 75 revolutionary group that is trying to destroy capitalism is the good guys. No, this is their movie. They're the good guys.
And at the same time,
and we love it, don't we, folks?
I mean, I agree with Alano that from the moment the discovery was made that this could happen, it was always going to happen.
No, yeah, I don't think that there's any way that's the complicated thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any point where you could say you could have stopped them from figuring out how to do it. I don't think knowledge works that way. I don't think science works that way. I am not an expert in this field, right? I know that I like when fewer people die, and so, but I am not a historian. I am not a physicist. I am not a politician. I am simply a fucking loudmouth with a microphone, and I plan to use it.
I opened this movie on the shot of a book, The World Set Free by H.G. Wells, which is, I believe, the first example of an atomic weapon in all of fiction, years before the actual feasibility of an atomic bomb was ever considered.
Now, does he explain how he thinks it works? Like, is this one of the situations where he was actually fairly well read on this?
Yes, he was well read on nuclear theory, but this was before any scientists were like, yeah, we could make a chain reaction bomb. But H.G. Wells was like, oh yeah, there's a lot of energy here. Like, humanity will make weapons out of it. H.G. Wells basically predicted atomic weapons entirely in this book. And in a weird way, Leo Szilard, who was the first physicist to come forward and be like, hey, we can make a weapon out of this, was inspired by that book. He read that book and it thought about the nuclear physics.
So is this the earliest example of the torment nexus?
Yes, I think this is the birth of the torment
nexus. May I
nexus.
assume that the H.G. Wells novel did not have the moral, this is good, you should build this?
Well, and then Leo Szilard was like, hey, everybody in the world, we should not build the torment nexus. And the U.S. government was like, what's this you say?
What? Yeah.
What? Explain the torment nexus to me, because that sounds actually kind of cool.
We're living it, folks.
Yeah.
And apparently we have been for quite some time. All right, so
I have a massive Act 3.
Okay, so we're gonna take a quick break, and then we'll be right back to do Act 3 of Los Alamos. This episode is brought to you by RPG Zine Club, a new subscription membership by Plus One EXP, and a global community of indie RPG designers. Subscribers to RPG Zine Club get fresh new tabletop role-playing games every month, either as PDFs or in print, plus access to an online community of people with whom to play and talk about them. These are brand new games that have never been available before from some designers you might recognize and some who are publishing for the first time. The team at Plus One curates the games directly from inception to delivery, so there's consistency of playability and quality control. But because these games are coming from a variety of designers, you're also getting a variety of styles and voices. Plus One EXP's goal here is not only to provide a steady stream of fun new games for their audience, but also to change the way RPGs are financed and sold. This is a project after my own heart. We mentioned it on a previous episode. I think it's really cool to create a sort of like an incubator for any kind of artists, where you just decide you're going to throw a little bit of money into this artist for a period of time and this artist for a period of time, and create a steady stream that introduces all their work to an audience that would appreciate all of it. I think that's really terrific. So if you visit rpgzine.club, and they even gave us our own special URL as our very first one of these. The first time a sponsor has given us our own sort of URL people can use so they know that we sent you. So please go to rpgzine.club/zine universe, and they will know that we sent you. Check it out. I think it's really neat. I always like projects like this. So thank you so much to RPG Zine Club for sponsoring it. And thank you, viewers and listeners, for checking them out. Now back to our show.
Act 3. So strangely, I'm actually going to summarize the opening scene of Act 3.
God damn it.
I know. I just didn't.
I thought I'd kill the momentum with the fucking ad read, but here you go.
I'm sorry. I actually wrote this whole scene too. But at the end of the day, I had to make things shorter. I had a whole bunch of spycraft, some clever spycraft. But basically what happens is Adrien sneaks off the base of Santa Fe and retrieves the explosive compounds. You know, there was fun, sneaky spy stuff, but there's a lot to get through in this Act 3. Cut to sunset that evening. All of Los Alamos is out at the Trinity testing site, preparing for the blast. Adrien stands far apart from everyone else, watching the bomb eclipse the sun, creating a brutal corona that he forces himself to squint at. He doesn't notice when Alano sidles up next to him.
It's eerie, isn't it?
Adrien doesn't seem surprised to see him. How do you mean?
The bomb. Suspended there. It's unnatural.
I agree.
Not because it shouldn't exist. It just shouldn't exist like this. Sedentary, sterile. Bombs belong in motion, in beautiful arc, in acceleration, in creation, destruction, or on the path between the two. But when it's still like this, you don't know where you are in its path. Every moment a bomb sits still, we are all Schrodinger's cat, both alive and dead at the same time. Our position cannot be measured until the bomb observes us.
Is it really inevitable? Mankind's end? Alano shrugs.
On a long enough timeline, all ends are inevitable. You know this, Doctor. You're smart enough to see the big picture. It's why I can't figure out your persistence here.
You're being obtuse.
I'm not. You're right. Humanity will not go extinct in your lifetime. But the bomb will be built. It will be stockpiled. Thousands of them. In nations across the world, all pointing at each other, unused. Waiting. And all the moments the bomb isn't used, do they matter? People will be born and die, generations will pass, and all of it will be erased the moment the bomb is set in motion. You are frozen in time that doesn't exist. Decades that add up to less than an instant. And here it is, suspended like the sword of Damocles over its eventual detonation point. It's too late. It's already wiped us out.
Adrien stands quiet, thinking this over. You speak of scale as if it's fixed. That there is a vantage point that determines which outcomes matter. And yet, if you truly deal in the realm of the infinite, then humanity doesn't matter. Earth doesn't matter. Stars are born and die on much longer arcs than the bomb. Anything that happens here should be irrelevant because our sun will burn out at the same moment regardless. So if there's no fixed scale by which you can measure importance, then smaller scales must matter as well. The scale of each man's life, from the 200,000 Japanese to that camp down the road. The scale of each decision. The scale of how we spend our time. Who we choose to help. Adrien turns to Alano, the smallest smug smile on his face. You asked me to think about your request scientifically. Well, I have reviewed your methods and your conclusion, and I find them unsound. Alano sighs.
I'd hoped you wouldn't be so small-minded about this, Doctor. I cannot let your plans come to pass. I'll be forced to take action now.
Adrien spreads his arms open. Why wait? Are you going to shoot me? Rewind my life to before I was born? I don't think you can. Whatever rules you have to follow, they don't let you interfere with me.
I will act via the methods available to me.
Alano looks back out at the bomb.
Get some sleep, Doctor. The future hinges on tomorrow.
The last sliver of sun fades under the flat horizon. The dark outline of the bomb and its platform is rendered invisible for just a moment, until an array of floodlights all flip on with a ka-chunk, spotlighting it from all directions, the star of the show. Adrien wakes up with a jolt the next morning to a pounding on his door. He leaps out of bed and opens it to find General Leslie Groves in full, intimidating military stance, flanked by 2 armed servicemen.
Dr. Baxter, good morning. Pack your things. You're heading for the airport.
What? What are you talking about?
You were invited here to assist us in developing the implosion bomb. That bomb has now been built and is sitting pretty in the desert awaiting its detonation tomorrow morning. As a result, your services are no longer needed. You will be escorted to the next available flight to DC, at which point you will be transferred back to London.
Wait, you can't... The test is in less than 24 hours. Can't I stay to observe? Grove steps forward, face to face with Adrien, and leans in to talk directly in his ear.
With the intel I was just given, you better count yourself extremely fucking lucky that you're not facing a firing squad. You can thank that international fame of yours.
He takes a step back again.
Go ahead. Say thank you.
Adrien grits his teeth. Thank you.
And thank you for your service to the war effort. Au revoir, Baxter.
Adrien leaves Los Alamos the way he arrived, in the back of a military truck, suitcase beside him, looking out the window with forlorn eyes. Defeated. The truck pulls into an airstrip a few miles away in the desert. The serviceman in the passenger seat lets Adrien out and directs him towards a large personnel jet on the tarmac. Leaning on the hood of another car nearby is Terrence Wakeford. He gives a nod and a cruel smile to Adrien as he passes. The plane is full of white men, some in military attire, some in suits. They barely notice Adrien, mostly hidden behind newspapers or heads down in documents. He finds a row of empty seats and collapses with his forehead to the window. Exterior montage. The stairs pull away. The boarding door closes. The jet taxis. Interior again as the plane takes off. Adrien watches the desert falling away below him. In the distance, he can barely see a few black flecks of buildings. Los Alamos. He sighs and cracks open his suitcase just a bit. Inside is the leather satchel filled with explosive compounds. Useless now. He clicks the suitcase closed again and closes his eyes. He wakes up a few hours later to a crashing sound. He jolts upright and looks behind him. A general has fallen asleep and dropped his martini glass. A stewardess is on her knees sweeping up the pieces. Adrien starts to relax, then does a double take. There's a man in the back row he didn't notice before. He's wearing an all-gray suit and wireframe glasses. The man glances up at Adrien, and Adrien whips back around to face front. He's breathing heavy. He glances out the window. They're at cruising altitude, nothing but clouds outside. His eyes are wild as he contemplates his next move. Then, with a sudden fuck it energy, he stands and starts walking stiffly down the aisle to the back of the plane. The man in gray watches him curiously. Adrien tries not to make eye contact. Then, just as he's about to pass by the man, he snaps and grabs the man's suit jacket, grabbing at the pockets.
What the hell?
The man stands, fighting him off, both of them falling to the floor. Adrien manages to get on top and pulls the jacket off the man. The pockets are empty. Where is it? The other passengers are on their feet now. The general who dropped his martini pulls at Adrien's shoulders. Adrien manages to get inside the man's pants pockets, turning them inside out. Nothing but keys, a handkerchief, some change. Adrien looks confused. Multiple men are on him now. They throw him to the floor and pin him down. I'm sorry, it was a misunderstanding. He stops when he sees a second man in a gray suit standing behind the crowd. His face is expressionless. He just watches. It's okay. I'm calm. He stops fighting the men, and they ease up the pressure.
You better tell us just what the hell you were on about, boy.
You're right. I'm sorry. Just ease up, all right? They let go of his shoulders. Adrien is still for just a moment, then suddenly leaps past them, tackling the man in gray by the waist. They hit the floor hard. The men are scrambling to pull Adrien back again. A stewardess screams. The gray man fights back, but Adrien gets a hand inside his inner jacket pocket and emerges with a metal switch, just like Alano had. Got ya! He flips the switch, and everything around him changes. Everyone's paths stretch out behind them, far behind them, out past the back of the plane. The newest versions of them begin to fade from existence, then the next newest, as Adrien travels backwards on the path, back in time. Exterior shot of the plane, its own path stretching behind it, the front of the plane fading bit by bit, the plane seeming to fly in reverse. The chaos around Adrien starts to organize itself, the mob of men retreating back into their seats, the first man in gray getting to his feet and sitting back down. The stewardess scatters the broken martini glass on the carpet, and it reassembles itself and flies back up to the armrest. Adrien lurches as the plane suddenly begins to lower under him, losing altitude. Stewardesses rush back and forth along their paths. Adrien watches all of it with wonder. Then the plane is skidding backwards on the tarmac, decelerating back to its original position. Adrien grabs his suitcase and pulls himself toward the front of the plane. The boarding door swings open, and the stairs reposition themselves at his feet. Men on the tarmac bustle around in reverse. Adrien runs to the truck he arrived in, and just before the driver gets back behind the wheel, he flips the switch again, and time starts moving forward. He leaps into the truck, slams the door, and peels out of the airstrip. Terrence Wakeford runs forward, jaw on the floor, goons in tow.
That man is a Soviet intelligence operative. Get after him now!
Adrien races through the desert, ignoring the roads and just cutting a beeline straight to the Trinity site. He checks his rearview mirror. 3 military trucks are in hot pursuit. Panicked, he flips the switch on his device. Time begins racing faster, but only Adrien is displaced in time, not the trucks, so the 3 trucks behind him keep pace, closing the gap even faster. He flips the switch the other way, reversing time, and the trucks get farther away again, but he also gets farther away from his destination. Shit. He's gonna have to do this in real time. Cut to outside Adrien's truck. Suddenly, time slows to a crawl, Adrien in the driver's seat included. From off-screen, a gray man calmly walks through motionless clouds of dust and sand at normal speed, climbing carefully into the back of Adrien's truck. Back to Adrien's perspective at the wheel, time moving normally. Over his shoulder, we see a blurred shape suddenly appear and solidify into the gray man we saw aboard. The gray man reaches over Adrien for the switch, but Adrien sees him just in time, flinching and dropping his switch under the pedals. The 2 men wrestle in the front seat. The truck careens left and right in the desert, sending up a sandstorm that the rear trucks quickly cut through, gaining fast. The gray man climbs his way into the passenger seat, holding Adrien back with one arm and reaching for the switch with the other. Adrien rotates to brace himself against the driver's side door and kicks the man hard in the chest, sending him back against the opposite door. Adrien takes the opportunity to grab the switch from the floor and flips it. Time slows to a crawl once again, for everyone but Adrien. He opens the driver's side door, grabs his suitcase, and steps out of the nearly motionless truck, then flips the switch again. All 4 trucks go racing on fast forward into the future, leaving blurry trails behind them. Adrien's truck, driverless, goes over a ridge and crashes. The other trucks stop. In high speed, soldiers emerge with weapons drawn, approach the truck, wait for someone to appear, and when they find it's empty, get back in their trucks and leave. Adrien flips the switch again to return time to normal. He's alone. He takes a moment to catch his breath. Behind him, the gray man blurs into form, charges, and snatches the switch away.
No! You were warned!
The gray man flips Adrien's switch, and time starts to race again. Adrien watches in horror as the sun crosses the sky and rapidly sets. The stars come out and leave streaks as they rotate in the sky. Then they're blocked out by speeding storm clouds, which take form above them and begin to downpour. The rain is like solid bars of water, forming eternal arcs where they splash on the ground. Adrien turns toward the Trinity site in the distance. The floodlights are turning on. Back to the gray man, who shows no sign of slowing time until the test is over. Adrien screams and charges. Cut to an observation building outside the Trinity test site, where a gaggle of scientists and military personnel are gathered, waiting out the storm. We focus on James and Lorna Calvert, who sit together, looking out the window at the platform in the distance. James reaches out and squeezes Lorna's hand, a grin on his face.
I feel like I'm gonna hurl.
Lorna is distracted. Over James' shoulder, she sees General Groves answer a phone. A look of rage comes over his face.
What do you mean he reappeared? Lorna?
Lorna looks back at her husband.
Sorry, what?
Nothing. I'm proud of us. I'm glad we get to witness this together.
Lorna can't muster an agreement.
I need a smoke.
She walks away from her confused husband. Cut to outside. Lorna stands under an awning just out of the downpour, smoking. General Groves tears out of the door next to her and gestures to some underlings.
Truck, now!
What is it?
Goddamn Barnier, that's what! We need to rendezvous with Wakeford, now!
Lorna watches as Groves and the servicemen get in a Jeep and drive off. There's one more truck left behind, and no one left to watch it. She flicks her cigarette into the rain and makes a break for it. Back in the desert, Adrien rushes through the pillars of rainwater and collides with the gray man. Adrien sits on top of him, raining down blows on his face. Give me the fucking button! The gray man, bruised and bleeding, refuses to weaken his grip on the switch. The rain stops. It's almost morning. 2 trucks speed toward them at hyperspeed. As soon as they park, the gray man flips the switch, returning time to normal.
Dr. Barnier! Release that man and put your hands behind your head.
Adrien does so, but not before swiping his hand inside the gray man's suit jacket. The gray man, not noticing, flips Adrien's switch, blurs out in all directions, and disappears, to the shock of Wakeford, Groves, and their soldiers. Adrien stands, and we see that in his hands behind his head is the gray man's personal switch. He puts his thumb on it, ready to flip.
It's clear to me now that no amount of grace will ensure the secrets of the United States military are safe in your hands.
He readies his fingers on the trigger of his gun. Adrien, however, is looking over his shoulder at a 3rd truck rapidly approaching.
Unfortunately, it falls to myself and Wakeford here to protect those secrets, by any means necessary.
Adrien sees who's driving the 3rd truck. He lifts his thumb from the switch. Groves and Wakeford turn at the sound of the truck.
Calvert, what the hell are you doing?
Lorna sprints across to Adrien, putting herself between him and the weapons.
Don't you fucking dare, Groves.
Lorna, get out of the way or you will be arrested.
A voice blares out from somewhere far away, announcing the final countdown to the blast.
Shit.
The voice begins to count down from 30. Lorna turns to Adrien, still guarding him from any clean shots.
You wanted me to put my ass on the line? Here I am.
Lorna, you need to move now.
I didn't set you up. You're not disposable. You were my partner. I swear that to you.
Adrien nods. I see that. Look, whatever happens next, I'm sorry I said what I said.
You were right to say it. And if you're going to go down like this, it's only right that I go down with you.
Counting down from 10.
Lorna, you have 2 goddamn seconds.
I don't need you to go down with me, Lorna.
Well, it's too late now.
There's no such thing as too late. 3 seconds.
What?
I wish our paths had led somewhere else. He pulls her in for a kiss just as the bomb detonates behind him. There's a flash of pure white, so bright that Lorna can't help but open her eyes. Adrien keeps his closed, barely noticing. The mushroom cloud erupts behind them. Groves and Wakeford guard their faces. Adrien pulls her as tight as he can, kissing her deeply, then flips the switch behind her back. A trail emerges behind Lorna, leading back to her truck. The Lorna he's kissing fades out of existence as time reverses. The mushroom cloud shrinks back into nothing. Groves and Wakeford get back in the trucks and reverse back into the desert. The rain starts again. It's the middle of the night. Adrien flips the switch off and stands alone in the desert. He starts to walk toward the platform. Adrien, soaked, dirty, and bleeding, approaches the Trinity platform in the pouring rain. He sets his suitcase in the dirt and retrieves the leather satchel of explosive compounds. He puts them in one inside suit pocket and puts the time switch in the other. He climbs the tall ladder to the top of the tower. Wind whips at him. Lightning strikes the desert behind him. His hands slip on the wet metal rails. Then, finally, he climbs up onto the platform, seeing the bomb in all of its horrible glory. A black mass, covered in thick wiring and metal panels, an unnatural tumor lodged in the flesh of the earth. Adrien takes a step toward it, when suddenly someone shoves him from behind, grabbing his suit jacket and pulling it off of him. He turns to find Alano Bright, pulling the switch out of the jacket pocket. I was wondering where you were. I thought you weren't allowed to interfere.
And then you stole an anaconda, which we are permitted to retrieve at any cost.
Alano throws the jacket off the platform with the leather satchel still inside.
Why? Was something else in there?
I was so goddamn close.
Yet you shall go no further. I told you, Doctor, the bomb will go off because it has always gone off. You cannot change a future that has already happened.
Yes, I can. I have already. I used your anaconda and rewrote multiple paths.
No, Doctor, you didn't. I'm sorry to say, but everything has happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. You were always meant to get this close. I was always meant to stop you. You will be arrested. You will be sent back to London. You will never see Lorna again. She will not remember the kiss you erased and will remain racked by the guilt you instilled upon her until her dying day.
No, I can change that.
You can't, Doctor. It is time you accept your limitations. You cannot outwit time.
Alano flips the switch on the anaconda. Time races forward again. The rain stops.
You deserve to see your hard work come to fruition. Your implosion system truly is a thing of beauty.
The 30-second countdown blares all around them in hyperspeed. When it gets down to 1, Alano flips the switch again and everything slows down.
Enjoy the show. The bomb cannot hurt you while you're displaced, but I wouldn't linger if I were you. Once the cloud reaches its peak, the dilation will cease.
Adrien looks back at the bomb, just feet from him, and nanoseconds away from detonation.
Goodbye, Doctor. I'll see you in Geneva.
With that, Alano blurs out in all directions and disappears. The bomb goes off. In ultra slow motion, Adrien watches the implosion's shockwave. It's beautiful, symmetrical, perfect. It happens one frame at a time, just like the X-ray photographs he looked at for months on end. Just before the implosion wave reaches the core, Adrien snaps out of his reverie and runs for the ladder. He slides down just as everything goes white. Blinded, he crashes down into the sand. Above him, the bomb obliterates the platform he was just on. He sprints blindly as the explosion blooms in slow motion behind him, growing in diameter until its bottom edge reaches the ground, then spreads and spreads, chasing him through the desert, clouds of sand overtaking him, the mushroom cloud erupting above him. He comes to a low ridge and dives for the other side, taking cover just as time resumes its normal pace and the sound of the explosion hits. He covers his ears and screams inaudibly. When it passes, he stands and watches the cloud gradually shrink and disperse. Cut to the observation building, where all of the scientists are hooting and jumping with joy, all except Lorna. Back to Adrien. His head falls. His knees buckle and he sits on the ridge. He looks toward Los Alamos, contemplating turning himself in. But then an idea hits him. He's suddenly alert again. He hops to his feet, turns in the opposite direction of the town, and begins to jog. The sun is rising when he passes the sign that says now entering Ruidoso. He's exhausted, moving as fast as he's able, frequently checking his watch. We see him asking for directions from a black man at the local gas station. Cut to a bit later, Adrien making his way along a dirt road in the woods. He checks his watch again, then looks up at the sky. Flakes are starting to fall, white as bone, sizzling in puddles at his feet. He picks up the pace, forcing himself into a run. He comes to a cabin on a hill with a path leading down to a river. A gaggle of young girls run out of the cabin, laughing. "No! Go inside! Stop!" The girls stop, looking at him with mouths agape. He looks awful, suit torn, soaked, muddy. His face is streaked with blood and purple with bruises. "Stop now! Go back inside! Go!" The girls clutch at each other and hurry back inside, frightened. Adrien stops when he gets to the path, looking at the cabin door to make sure they're all in. They're gathered around the window, staring at him, chattering to each other. Safe. The flakes fall all around him, landing hot on his skin. He catches his breath and smiles. He staggers down the path to the river, unbuttoning his shirt as he goes, tossing it into the bushes at the shore. He wades into the water and lets out a deep, satisfied sigh. The snowfall is coming heavier now, blanketing the river in tiny bursts of steam, radioactive ash melting into the current. He spreads his arms in the cool water and lets it all wash over him. Fade to black. Fade in on a hospital corridor in typical midday chaos. On-screen text reads, Geneva, Switzerland, 1960. The camera follows behind a man in a gray suit as he walks down the corridor, doctors and nurses bustling around him, paying him no mind. He eventually turns into a patient's room, and the camera settles on the nameplate outside. Barnier, Adrien. I was wondering when you'd show up. Adrien lays in a hospital bed, looking pale, gaunt, rail-thin. Alano Bright stands over him.
Hello, doctor.
It's been a long time.
For you.
There's the Alano I knew. Like you never left. So what brings you here now?
I wanted to say goodbye.
A brief flash of sorrow on Adrien's face as he realizes what that means for him. Yeah, well, I'm glad you came. I've been waiting for this moment for 15 years.
Oh? And why is that?
So I could gloat. Alano cocks his head. I beat you. You told me those girls would die because of the bomb. Well, maybe I couldn't stop the bomb from going off, but I stopped them. I kept them inside, away from the fallout. I changed things. Alano shakes his head.
I told you, from the bomb's conception to its detonation, nothing matters.
Yes, but they survived its detonation. I made sure of it. I've kept tabs on them. They're all healthy. That matters.
I suppose now that you've reached the end of your path, I can tell you the truth. The bomb to which I was referring was not the atomic bomb.
What then? The super?
In the 1920s, the modern field of quantum mechanics was established. That marks the launch of the rocket, so to speak. On September 7th, 2020, this universe will be created. That is its detonation. All that truly matters is making sure that arc, from launch to detonation, remains intact so that this universe can exist.
What does that have to do with me?
Had you lived, Doctor, you would have become one of the leading quantum physicists in the world and the biggest proponent of its ethical use. You would have been so successful that it would have delayed the creation of this universe by 22 years. That is incompatible.
So everything. All that theater about preventing Trinity. You were just trying to get me in that river. To kill me.
As you once pointed out, I wouldn't need to stop you from something you couldn't change. I was there to push you where you needed to be. As I always have been.
You motherfucker. You played me.
I take no pleasure in my duties, Doctor. There is no last laugh here. I have simply preserved the arc.
Adrien gets a familiar look on his face. His calculating look. His look when he's figuring out how to get ahead. So your job is done now, right? I'm dying, the universe is protected. Nothing matters now until the detonation, right?
Now you understand.
Oh, I understand. Adrien grabs his pocket knife from his bedside table and stabs Alano in the neck. He pulls it out and blood gushes, dyeing his gray suit red. Is this part of your plan? Alano falls back in his seat. His body starts blurring out in all directions, but each path is cut short and restarts, blinking in and out of existence. Can you die, Alano? Is that something you're allowed to do? Alano nods.
Yes, I can. But the work must live on.
Suddenly, Adrien's body also starts to blur. His paths spread out in all directions, infinitely, filling the hospital room. What the hell? Alano smiles weakly.
You have much work to do. I don't envy you.
Adrien realizes what's happening and grabs Alano by the collar. Wait! Before you go, can the future be changed or can't it?
You're about to find out for yourself.
The infinite duplicates are covering the screen now, smothering Adrien as his blur dissolves and he screams. Cut to the room's entrance. A nurse enters, looking down at her clipboard.
Okay, Dr. Barnier, it's time to switch your...
She looks up and stops. The room is empty. No Alano, no Adrien.
Dr. Barnier? Dr. Barnier?
History repeating, knee-length mix featuring Shirley Bassey by the Propeller Head starts to play. Cut to black. Credits.
This episode is brought to you by Ritual Deck, a supernatural trading card TTRPG. In Ritual Deck, play as moody teenage card duelists possessed by amnesiac spirits, solving mysteries and resolving threats, both natural and mundane, to recover their lost memories and stop the return of an ancient evil. This game is for 3 to 4 players and a DM, which in this case is short for Duel Master, and it's inspired most heavily by the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime and manga, but also by various other movies, anime, and games from the late 90s through the early 2010s, including the Persona series, Metal Gear Solid, Ace Attorney, Naruto, and the live-action Speed Racer movie, and so much more. You can order your copy from plusoneexp.com today.
Mid-credits scene. As the song fades out, we fade in on a hospital waiting room. The year is 2020. Everyone in the waiting room is looking distastefully at one man yelling into his cell phone in the otherwise quiet room. It's Christian Estrella, played by Antonio Banderas. He hangs up in frustration. The man next to him lowers his newspaper. He's wearing a gray suit, a gray hat, and wireframe glasses. It's Adrien, looking healthy and as young as he was in 1945. What was that all about?
None of your business. Work stuff.
Adrien shrugs and goes back to his newspaper, but Christian can't help himself.
It's just... my wife is dying of cancer, and I've still got my boss yelling at me about a failed project. It's over. It's in the ground. Let me fucking breathe, goddammit.
That sounds tough.
My son is going to be here any minute, and then we're going to have to see. It's hard. The last thing I need to worry about right now is work.
So quit.
Yeah, right.
I mean it. Your family's important. Your wife is important. Look, I had this girl once. I was so in love with her. She was out of my league. She was married, as a matter of fact. And yet, I think she loved me too. But I also had a job to do, and I was so obsessed with it that I lost her to time. And you better believe I regret it every day. Christian sits in silence, thinking about this. A nurse appears in the hallway and calls his name. He gets up. Just think about it. Don't let yourself live with the regrets. You can't get back lost time. Trust me.
Yeah, thanks. I'll think about it.
He starts off, then turns back.
I'm sorry, I'm Christian, by the way. Christian Estrella.
Adrien smiles. I'm Alano. Alano Bright. Cut to black. Post-credits scene. Christmas, 1945. Lorna Calvert walks through a maze of Christmas trees, trailing behind James. James is complaining about the selection and listing off all the things they need to get done that weekend. Lorna half listens. We can see that she's pregnant. Something catches her eye through the trees. James' voice fades out. Lorna's lip trembles, unsure if she can believe what she's seeing. She looks like she's about to take a step towards whatever it is when...
Lorna!
She steps out of it and looks at her husband.
Huh?
Come on, we don't have all night. We just have to pick one and go.
Yeah, okay.
He drags her off screen before she can take another glance. Through the trees, we see what she was staring at. Sort of. He's out of focus, far away, but he wears a gray suit and a gray hat. Cut to black.
He got Santa Claus.
He got Santa Claus.
You Santa Claus.
He got Krampus.
He been, I mean, a good misdirect early on saying that there was at least one character who was going to stick around. I assumed it was going to be Alano Bright, and I was only half right.
My initial idea for this was I wanted to come out of this with a character who would be sort of like our time representative.
Right.
And I thought Jacob Anderson would be really good at that. I think he can play this grounded, angry scientist character, but also be kind of otherworldly. Mm-hmm. He does both in Interview with the Vampire really well.
Well, I mean, I guess he has to be, superhuman.
Yeah.
So
I was always intending for him to end up being our time character.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool.
And now we have
a whole origin story for him.
Backstory.
And it's also a complete story with beginning and a middle and an end, right?
Yes.
So it's fulfilling the goals that we want to do with stories in this universe, where it is its own movie. I don't expect that there's going to be a sequel to this, right? It's just that there's this character will stick around. And that's the way I'm trying to think about a lot of them. I'm musing about what would I do as a follow-up for Stonehammer in particular, because that one is so separated from other stuff that to do another story with those characters, I kind of do have to go, what's a sequel to Last Flight of the Stonehammer?
The First Flight of the Lost Shepherd.
That's the one. Possibly, but probably not. Maybe it's the Last Flight of the Lost Shepherd. Who knows? But it's the
72nd Flight of the Lost Shepherd.
Yes. Couple little things I jotted down. One, just insane in our current day and age to imagine a guy walking onto a plane with a suitcase full of explosives. That just at a moment, thinking it took me a minute to unpack. But no, he just walked onto the plane because you just do that. First of all, it's a military plane. It's not commercial. Secondly, no, you just walk onto the plane. People used to you walk onto the tarmac, you go up the steps on the plane. Now you're on the plane. But also I was thinking about you essentially have created a situation where you get to do Spielberg gets to do his Tenet.
Yeah.
Right? In one little snippet. But it's not just we're doing Tenet, because you're having time go forward and backwards at will, right? Rather than just having you have team forwards and team backwards.
Yeah.
The visual language of it, as described, is very cool. I would have to probably read it again or listen back to it to feel like I completely get it.
Yeah,
but I followed along well enough.
There's some Tenet-y shenanigans going on. I also wanted to make it feel... I wanted the third act to start with you feeling wait, this is not at all where I thought this was going to go. How do we wrap this up? Because he is on an airplane leaving. What? Yeah,
there was a moment of
how do you come back from that?
Is the climax to be something we completely don't expect at all? And then, you introduce the guy in the gray suit. And also we gave a name to the cool gadget, which I'm sure we'll see again.
Yes. It is named after, I forget which scientist it was, but someone who was figuring out how to graph four-dimensional time, came up with a new axis or set of axes, ana and kata, which are Greek words for forward and backwards.
Okay.
And so the anakata.
Anakata, very cool. Dalton, you were talking about being nervous about being out of your element. I think you can stand to get out of your element more often. This was very cool.
I'm proud of the third act. I think the third act does a lot of really big and hopefully satisfying things.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it fulfills the promise of the premise. We always talk about you have created this idea of visualizing time in a certain way, the idea of destiny and the alteration thereof. You have this forward and backwards gimmick you established with Alano. You managed to also create a strong thesis around this, which is which is Spielberg would also like as a pretty humanist storyteller, of the notion of okay, maybe I can't save 100,000 people, but I can save 10, right? That's worth doing.
Yeah.
Whatever I can do to save lives, I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And of course puts in the scale as to why we don't all have to be building bombs. It's not to say that no one should build it. I'm just saying, in our daily lives now, anything you can do that can help create better conditions around here for people is good.
Yeah, and I set up, the girls' camp in the cold open, and that is real, by the way. Those people are real.
I had assumed that was real.
Yeah, they really did go out to the river and catch the flakes on their tongue, and only one of them lived past 30. And so I thought it was nice. Like, Adrien actually can't succeed in stopping the bomb, I think, based on the rules of our universe, but he can save those girls.
Yeah.
And I think that can be a win for him. He doesn't have to be the smartest man in the room and save the entire world, but he's still going to do what he can, with whatever smarts he has, All
right. And so now into the mid-credits, you established that he has done something in the pod universe that is very important to distinguishing it from the Prime universe, which is he gets Christian to quit his job and basically become a different person, setting Vincent on a different path. Now, like, things would have been a little bit different regardless because of the results of the experiment, but this is, like, character important.
Yeah.
Right?
So why does he care?
Yeah.
Why is he there to influence
He's not going Uatu mode, the Watcher from Marvel. He's
meddling.
Guiding events. He's meddling. Yeah, I want you to see where you've chosen that moment for a reason. I want to see where that's going.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, well then we'll figure it out together.
I just know I basically was like, well, if his person or purpose is to be our time guy and someone who is able to not directly but indirectly influence events, I think he's going to have a hand in whatever it is we're building.
Yeah,
and so where can he have that hand? And I think it seemed clearest to me like he can be the one that convinces Christian to quit his job. It builds this relationship with Vincent, and it leads to all of the events of pod people. And so maybe him doing that ensures that pod people plays out the way it does, and we have to figure out why that is important. But I'm guessing it's going to be important, like the fact that everything happens that way.
Fair guess. We have the ability to fulfill that prophecy.
Yeah, we can make that happen. I mean, and I leave things... I hope it's not in a frustrating way. I think just by the nature of like the contradictions of time, there are a lot of contradictions still at play here. Like Alano says there are these big moments that can't be touched. And initially we think it's the atomic bomb. And then he says, actually, I'm not even worried about that. I'm worried about the creation of the universe. I'm worried about a bigger window. I'm worried about quantum mechanics being invented.
Right.
And the creation of the pod universe. And I had to make all these things happen, and that's the way they always happen. But then Adrian's point is, well, if those things matter, on a big enough scale, they shouldn't. Although creation of the universe, that's
the biggest scale that there could possibly be.
That is the biggest scale that could possibly be.
So it all being relative, right? So it does create the question of like, all right, would Alano then have had to drastically, is it a matter of like how much effort is it to keep things back on track, right? So these are questions that we could explore in the future if we want to, or it could just be a fun thing to think about.
Can things be changed?
Yeah.
Or were both Alano and Adrian's paths locked in this whole time? And that's the way they've always played out and always will. Or can you change some small things but not some big things? What is the scale of that? If that scale matters, how is it determined? There are a lot of these questions here that we can kind of play with, but it also gives, when we have these moments, it will give them gravity and importance.
Yes.
And
I'm also thinking right away off the top of my head, like the new Alano Bright. I don't know if we plan to use that name going forward.
I think so.
Probably.
I think it's fun that's like the title. It's like
a title.
His title.
Yeah. That what his personal motivations would be for what he's doing in terms of how it relates to the end point for our saga that we discussed on the unaired planning episode. I have a thought about how his story here might potentially lead into what he wants and what we want.
How much is this new Alano Bright like Adrien? Is he like an entirely new person? Like now that he has different perspective and different functions,
I mean, he will have been, I mean, how much time has passed for him? There's no way to know, right? So that's all exciting stuff. Yeah, I really dug this. I hope our audience agrees. I really enjoy how the range of stories that we're trying to tell here, and how they can all be very different in tone and involve different characters. I know people like to follow the recurring characters, and of course we're going to have recurring characters, right? But the idea of it being a little bit looser than what we did last time, and getting to explore just a wider variety and test like different storytelling muscles for ourselves. This is like continues to be on top of, I think, a fun product. The exercise that we're getting out of it has been very rewarding on my end, at least. I can't speak for you. Yeah, I'm really into this one.
Thank you.
I was thinking about, we're talking about what your wheelhouse is and isn't or whatever. I think I might have talked about this at some point on the bonus pod. I think that no filmmaker should be allowed to make more than one Star Wars. Because I think that every filmmaker wants to do a Star Wars, every comic book writer wants to do a Batman, right?
Yeah.
And that means that you spent your whole life thinking about one you want to do. That's the one you should do that. And then no more. First of all, because no director has yet to make 2 good Star Wars movies. And also because it means that you have the pressure of, if I want to do a movie that's like this, I got to put all this in here, right? The fact that like you've written a bunch of monster movie stuff.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of that. And that means that you get new inspiration. You want to try and iterate, do things you haven't done, which is another cool thing to do as a storyteller, is to be like, well, I've done this. How do I not repeat myself?
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for knowing you're going to do one period sci-fi movie set in the Manhattan Project, right? You're never going to do another one like this. And so there's the pressure to anything that I want to do here, I got to get right here, because after this, I'm moving on.
Yeah.
I think that you've gotten good results out of that here. This is your Manhattan Project movie.
Yeah. There's not going to be another one.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a movie like this, I don't think, that I write.
And I don't know, how much was it that you wanted to do that didn't end up in this, but it feels to me like you put a lot into it.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it.
The only other thing I would have put into it probably is like, I really wanted there to be this sort of trifecta of forces all closing in on Adrien. I wanted it to be the military closing in on him, Alano and his influence, but also the Soviets.
Right, because the Soviets aren't really in this. That's the one missing piece.
I did not have room for them, especially once Maddie kind of took the place, which I thought was more fun anyway, to have like this sort of college, which is also the way these things kind of work. Oh, it was,
right. I mean, like you used to, as said here, prior to the Red Scare, these colleges had like communist clubs.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't we had the Americans.
We had like a functional, not powerful, but like an operating American Communist Party.
Yeah.
Which we're not allowed to have anymore,
yeah.
even though we are technically allowed to have.
I just thought it was fun to have Maddie be that person, but as a result, there's not actually a Soviet like representative in this movie,
which would be another angle. Yeah. I mean, I think that's like the 6-episode miniseries version of this, right?
It's just too big. The other thing that I wanted to build here is I did kind of want to have a Cap and Peggy kind of thing.
Oh, I definitely read that from this.
Yeah, I mean, because Adrien gets his moment with Lorna, where they kiss in front of the bomb. And
the parallels are not lost on me.
She puts it, but because he then rewinds that moment in time,
that didn't happen anymore.
That never happened for her, and so the last interaction Lorna has to Adrien in our timeline is him yelling at her to fuck off.
Yeah, and she'll never know that she had it in her to come to his defense.
Yes,
right?
She never had
that opportunity, so she's going to live with that doubt. I like that. It's a dark mirror of that Steve and Peggy thing.
Yeah.
A question that we're left with also, if you don't have to answer, is part of her looking off into the distance and like feeling this sort of dread is the timeline such that it's kind of cheap to do in a movie when a couple that's not supposed to have sex has sex once. And then the woman gets pregnant, she would be in deep, deep trouble.
I honestly had not even considered that.
Okay.
To be honest. I had not considered that the baby might be... that was honestly, I wrote that last night. I got the idea for the post-credit scene last night.
No, it's good. And it also serves, I think, a good role of a post-credit scene where it's like, it's just a little coda.
Yes.
Right? It's not, I like the mid-credits as a tease for something coming next, and the post-credit as just like a little coda.
I just wanted to show that he is checking up on her.
Yeah.
That like no matter what this new version of Adrien is, this new Alano Bright, he is coming to watch Lorna for some reason.
Yeah.
And that was me trying to, again, kind of tease that Peggy and Steve kind of thing.
Sure, we have this lost romance that, so far as we understand the rules,
cannot happen.
But we do have a limited understanding of the rules. So who knows? Yeah, this one's a winner to me. I like it a lot. I hope the listening and viewing audience liked it.
Yeah, I hope everyone wasn't bored by a period piece about World War II.
All right, well, I mean, here's something I got to say.
I think I did some exciting stuff in there, I hope.
The medium that we operate in, I think, is very friendly to talkier material.
Yeah, I think so too.
In proper audio dramas, there's usually a lot of talking because that's all most people are getting. I mean, if you're watching the video, then you're getting text across the screen with some evocative backgrounds that are supposed to be sort of like set dressing.
Yeah.
Right? But you're not. The action is still happening all in your head. The dialogue we are doing for you.
Yeah.
So, Dalton, this is a winner to me. I really like it.
Hell yeah!
And I'm excited we are now halfway through phase 1.
Yeah. And so we're approaching the holidays. So let's talk about our holiday schedule.
Yeah, we're going to be taking a little bit of time off of scripted episodes just to recharge our batteries. The next one we get will be Merge Conflict, which is my sci-fi horror movie that I have blocked out almost all of it. I haven't put pen to paper yet on actually writing the script, and I am fucking terrified because I think it's going to be an emotionally fraught experience, and then I will then get it inflicted on all of you.
Yes.
But that will not be till January.
Yeah.
In the meantime, next week on November 23rd, we have a bonus episode for patrons.
That's right.
Where we will be doing a studio mandate, not of a movie, but of a short story, because I guess somebody talked me into it. I felt this would have been commissioned almost a year ago.
Yeah.
So we're doing Rappaccini's Daughter. We'll be doing a Dark Universe version of that. Dalton will be watching Strange Days,
that's right,
the Catherine Bigelow sci-fi movie, and I will be watching Theater of Blood featuring Vincent Price. After that, exciting announcement. First exciting announcement, we have booked a bunch of guests, and so we will be able to tell you from now on for a while who the next guest is going to be. In 2 weeks, our guest will be writer and director and actor Vera Drew, who is the mind behind the People's Joker. That's very exciting.
We've been so excited to have her.
We've been in contact with her for a while, trying to work this out schedule-wise, and we're so stoked to have Vera Drew on the show. Where we get to, we don't know yet what movie she's going to pick to remake, but she's such the perfect guest for this show because what she has now gained notoriety for is taking an established corporate IP and turning it into something really weird and personal.
Yes.
And that is exactly what we try to do here.
Exactly.
So I am thrilled. I think she's an ideal guest for the show. And of course, just really excited to meet her. After that, we'll have a second guest episode before we take a little break because it's holiday time.
Yeah.
We will be having returning guest, Daniel Kibblesmith.
Oh, that's right. I've almost forgot about this.
Yes. Yeah. And Daniel Kibblesmith is going to be doing something Christmassy with us, which I will save what that is
we're not going to announce
later.
It yet. Okay.
We will wait to announce that because we haven't announced what Vera's doing yet. And that feels like I don't want to take the thunder from that. But Daniel Kibblesmith did pick what he was going to do before we did our first episode of this podcast.
Yes.
He called his shot very early on. So we're going to have that. And then we have something silly planned for the two of us for Christmas, which is not going to be a scripted app, right?
It is sort of. It is sort of going to be a scripted app.
Okay.
I plan on scripting something.
Okay, well then we're going to have to. Then we'll both be writing.
Yeah,
that'll be something we're writing together. Then.
So
I wasn't sure the scale of this.
We're going to talk about it, but we have a new kind of holiday special we're going to try out that is not strictly holiday themed, but it is a fun little present for all of you.
And it's the kind of thing that we can revisit annually.
Yes, that will be easier than trying to be like, how do we get Alano Bright and Justice Smith to spend Christmas together?
We are not currently, if we will ever be, at the place in our saga where all of our characters know each other
and can spend the holidays
together. It's also just so far not yet in the tone of the thing that we're doing. It could be in the future, but right now we've come up with kind of another separate thing to do around the holidays that is deeply stupid, and we think you're going to love it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So that's our schedule for the rest of the year, and then we'll be back in 2026 with Merge Conflict. We hope you enjoyed Los Alamos. Check out shop.thepoduniverse.com for merch, including most likely the poster for this episode will be up. And it's really cool.
It looks so cool.
Thank you, Kat Hopkins, for designing that. Sign up for the Patreon at patreon.com/Dylan and Dalton to talk to people about this episode, get the bonus pod, and listen to the director's cut of this episode, which is just the movie, no yapping, and that extra monologue between Adrien and Maddie that was in the first part.
By now, the score to Last Flight of the Stone Hammer should be available on streaming services.
Yes.
Pod People is already out by now. That's available to listen to. And now we got to give thanks to our patrons. We really appreciate everybody who's helping this show grow and survive the fucking economic nuclear winter that we're all living through.
Yep.
Thank you very much to executive producers Brent Dreyer, Brian Egan, Denim Mudslide, Diana, Jonathan Morgantini, Caleb McFarland, Matt Thackeray, Michael Mancilius, Mike Lee Whiplash, Soonmot, and Speep. And as always, a big thanks to our studio executives who contribute $25 a month to keep the show going, get themselves not only a shout out, but the ability to select one of the movies we talk about in the studio mandates section of our bonus pod. That's Alyssa the Pazuzu Apologist, Bill French, Beerus, Brandon Bullock, Dracatella, Jasper Stark, Joe Valiant, Cadle, Moose, Rich Mays, and The Wayfinder. Thank you all so much for making this show possible. And until next time, do we have one for this?
Let's do the same one. Until next time, we hope you enjoyed your stay
at the Pod
universe.
We've given you too much to ponder.
Yeah.
And until next time, sorry for giving you so much to ponder.
Bye.